Hello, hello, hello! What's up, everybody, and welcome to another video presented by yours truly. I know, I've been away for some time, but that was because I wanted to focus on my final assignment. And now that it's over, I'm happy to announce that I'm done with my second year of uni. But that's not all. Today marks the first anniversary of Men in Black. Thank you, thank you. This means so much to me because this is one of my first actual werewolf stories and the first one-shot I ever write. Also, this is one of those rare instances where I actually finish a story in such a record time of a few months. Usually, I take so long to finish a story, and most of the time, my stories are incomplete. And why does that happen, you may ask? Well, when I write a story, I usually plan beforehand by plotting and highlighting the key events. The story would seem good and cohesive on paper, but when I start writing, everything goes haywire, lol. Halfway in my writing, I get 100 new plot ideas and plot holes begin to show up out of nowhere. And when I try to fix these issues, even more issues start to pop up. But not this time. This time, I told myself that I would finish the story no matter what, even if nothing made sense. All I needed was to get from start to finish in one go without having to go through detours. As a result, you have a complete story in your hands. Stick around to dive deeper into it, and please note there are spoilers. Thank you! If you watched my video on the werewolf genre on Wattpad, you would know how unsatisfied I am with the state of the genre. From unoriginal plots to harmful tropes, the genre is plagued with things that have reduced it to annoying and harmful, even though it is one of the most popular genres on the platform. So, instead of complaining and sitting ducks, I decided to write my own story with better ideas. Instead of going with the classic mate-oriented stories or pack drama stories where there is a war between two packs or a war between a pack and a rogue pack and some other nonsense like that, I decided to focus on the journey of one particular werewolf who suffers a tragedy that destroys his family. Among the characters in that story is an assassin known as the Man in Black, and this is the protagonist of the one-shot I'm gonna talk about today. For his character and story, I wanted it to be more like those 70s and 80s action thrillers. And yes, I do watch this stuff. I wanted it to be more like an action thriller with a former mafia hitman who happens to be a werewolf. And the thing that is typical about these types of action thrillers is that it's more grounded in reality. It doesn't have the same, like the stakes are not based on some epic, fantastical, supernatural danger. Um, it's more like more grounded, like more urban feel to it, if you know what I mean. And I made our protagonist in Man in Black have a personality typical to the heroes of those thrillers. Stoic, brooding, aloof, who speaks minimal words. But since he was a villain, he had to be a jerk as well. And I wanted that for two reasons. One, because the story is set in the 1970s and I wanted to pay homage to those action thrillers of that era. And the second thing is because modern protagonists nowadays in action movies are pretty much reduced into comical characters who talk too much and can be written as incompetent idiots, especially when women are present because of girl power. My god. Set in the mid-70s, our protagonist is riding on his way to Dallas. He has a massive assignment to accomplish: to kill a werewolf before he evolves into an alpha wolf. While stepping in a diner for a meal, a young girl shows up and comes up to him. He doesn't know the girl, but it was obvious that she needed help. Her clothes were in tatters and her body and face were grimy and bruised. The girl, seeing that he was a strong-looking man, begs for him to help her find her parents. Man in Black refuses because he simply didn't care. The girl needed help, but not his help. He wasn't the police to help her, and besides, he had the job to finish. So he walks away and continues on his journey. However, the girl shows up in front of him as he's riding, causing him to slip and crash. In the sheriff's station, he finds out that the girl is called Sarah, and she is the daughter of a rich businessman, and that she was kidnapped along with her parents while they were out shopping in the mall. The girl's nanny slash governess, Sherry Wilson, shows up and is glad to find out that she is alive and well. Sherry takes Sarah with her to return to their home in Beverly Hills. And as a gesture of gratitude, she offers Men in Black to come with them to the hotel they are staying at in Dallas. And after persuasion from Sarah, he agrees. In the hotel, another attempt is made on Sarah's life, and as a result, Men in Black becomes suspicious and begins to investigate. Eventually, he finds out that it was none other than Sherry who is the mastermind behind the kidnapping and killing of Sarah's parents. A showdown happens in the climax of the story, and Men in Black kills Sherry, and Sarah is back to safety under her uncle's care. As I mentioned earlier, I wanted this to be a thriller, and I liked the idea of setting it in a large area such as the desert. I liked the whole idea of the long drives under the starry night and through the vast emptiness. I thought it was different than the typical werewolf stories that were almost always set in some area surrounded by forests or in the middle of the city. As for the plot itself, I wanted to go with something simple and straightforward. I also wanted to go a bit in depth into Man in Black's character and psychology, giving him more character depth than your usual tough guy protagonist. But upon reviewing it several times, I feel that the plot was a bit too simplistic and lacks stakes. Like, I feel that having a werewolf fight a human lacks in any stakes or tension. It is extremely easy for a werewolf to kill a human being, especially under the influence of the full moon. Also, the motivation of our protagonist to actually help Sarah seems a bit vague and weak to me. Like, to have a man who lived as a murderer all his life and have antisocial tendencies help a child who showed up suddenly in his life, it seems a bit strange though. Yeah, as I mentioned, plot holes. As far as the action goes, I think there are pretty cool chase sequences involving riding away on a motorcycle with two helicopters in hot pursuit, a shootout in an isolated warehouse miles away from town, and obviously the final showdown between Sherry and Man in Black. But since the plot is a bit too simplistic, I think the story had a lot of potential in terms of action that wasn't used. I think that if I tweaked the plot to add more interesting subplots and characters, the story would have been even more bombastic. There was also the character of Detective Robinson, who investigates the attempt on Sarah's life. I personally think that he is an interesting character, but sadly he was underused. Like I said before, if I tweaked the story, there would have been more room for him to shine. Fortunately, I have great ideas for improvement, ideas to expand the story and make it more interesting than it currently is. Overall, I'm really happy with what I have achieved, so for that, I'll give myself a solid 7 for the effort and the innovation. Also, the cover looks awesome as heck. And there you have it, guys. Hope you enjoyed this video. I wanted to talk more about the characters in detail, but I prefer to have separate videos for each character. That way, I would have the opportunity to focus on each character without having to worry about the length of the video. And again, thank you to everyone who read and commented on the book. Your engagement means so much to me. Every comment you make allows me to grow and improve as a writer. Who knows? Maybe I do end up writing a New York Times bestseller that is actually good. Okay, I think I talked enough. Bye!